Some surprising changes to the Habs lines coming out of practice today as Juraj Slafkovsky's on a therapy day and may not play versus the New York Rangers as Kirby Dach moves to the top line and Oliver Kapanen seemingly is taking over that number 2 center role. We got to get into that, plus some other likely lineup changes to come in the coming weeks. But we also got to talk about our boy, Ivan Demidov, who again gets a primary assist today as he looks good playing on the third line again. For SK St. Petersburg, he has been getting more minutes, but it wasn't only this amazing pass to Tony DeAngelo. Yes, that Tony DeAngelo who's tearing it up. He also had a sick breakaway, though he just missed. He has shown the ability to create scoring chances out of thin air every single time he's been on the ice. We're going to get into all of this, plus a little note on a historic thing that Juraj Slafkovsky just did, all coming up on this episode of Habs Digest. Welcome into the Monday live stream, everyone. Like we do every single week, we got lots of people in the chat. We got Alex in here. We got Mystic Prodigy sending the emojis. We got 100 people in here already. Jesse, are you ready? I'm glad to be back at the normal 6:15 p.m. time. It's been a couple weeks, and I'm excited to get going.
It just feels right. We miss these kind of Monday lives. If ever there's a game there, kind of something going on. Thankfully, there's not too many games on Mondays this year. Only 3 left. So, we're definitely looking forward to, so happy to be back at the usual time with all of our great people.
So excited. We got Super Gujon. Good morning from Melbourne, Australia. Super Gujon, good to see you. Mr. Prodigy saying they were trying to spark his offense a bit, I think. Well, we're going to be getting into all of that, I promise. But Jesse, I did want to start off with something a little bit different. And I originally saw this from an article on the Hockey News. I think you sent it to me from Kieran Haynes, who wrote that Slafkovsky overtakes fellow first overall pick Guhle. And we're talking here about most points by a player that's under 21 years of age. So it's points. It's not like your age 21 season. It's literally points before your 21st birthday. And I got the list for you right here. Here's all the players in Montreal Canadiens history, and then the list of most points before their 21st birthday. And you'll notice that Juraj Slafkovsky, over his past few games, has passed Guy Lafleur and Peter Svoboda. And he's tied Peter Svoboda with 66 points. And Jesse, to pass Mario Tremblay at the number 1 spot, it's not that crazy to say he could do it. He needs 46 points in 66 games this year. He was on that pace in the second half of last year. He's on a point per game pace this season. Do you think it's insane to say that Slav could be the highest scoring sub-21-year-old in Habs history?
Slav is going to break it. He's going to do it. If he's already getting 6 points in 6 games this year, which, by the way, we would be so thrilled if we're just saying, hey, by the way, Slav in his first 6 games, he's going to get 6 points. Like, this would just be music to our ears. But we seen him just this summer, at the World Championships, he was getting points, and a lot of them were coming more as assists, right? But this guy's showing that he just finds a way to get implicated, really get his name on the score sheet there. So, just considering, what a slow start, Slav still has had, he's really kind of grown into that beast of a hockey player that he is now, racking up the points. You got to feel just like Suzuki, that even their best hockey, even though they're getting points, is still very much ahead of them, which is so exciting for him.
Yeah, and again, him and Suzuki and Caufield have all kind of agreed, this hasn't been their best start to a season. They feel like they're not dominating like they can, especially at 5v5, and we will dive into that a little bit later with these new, very interesting lines. But all the same, guys, Juraj Slafkovsky I feel like he's already starting to fall under the radar. This dude is still 20. He has 6 points in 6 games in his, his 3rd season in the NHL, but the season after being nearly a point per game for the second half. I don't know, Jesse. I feel like Habs fans it's cool that Slav's doing this stuff, but I feel like we still need to hype him up arguably a little bit more, because what he is doing, again, like we said, his games don't look as dominant as he's been able to show, but he's still getting that production. And to me, when you can still get the production even on your worst days, that is the sign of a very, very good player.
And that's what good teams and good players do. Not just players, but teams. They find a way, right, Josh, to get those points sometimes in games that you wouldn't really think. It's the same thing with the player, really just finding a way to really make it happen. And there's going to be that law of averages as well, right? And it's very true that, maybe he's going to play some solid games, not get the points, but the way that Slav kind of plays in front of the net, he's just well suited to really rack up those points, right? So if it's still kind of coming when he's not his best, you have to feel like it's definitely going to be there. But the points that he's making are big ones as well. You saw in the first game of the year, it was his pass that was pivotal into getting the game-winning goal for Caufield. If he's not doing that, we're not winning that game. So right from the beginning of the season, he's shown that he's ready to start. I think he's just going to continue to kind of assert himself physically, which I think is the biggest thing. If Slav is winning puck battles, he's coughing up the pucks. we know he's then going to get more points because he's going to create assists for his teammates. He's going to knock somebody off the puck. He's going to get it, and he's going to dish it to either a Suzuki or a Caufield, in a very good scoring position there. So you have to feel like he knows his recipe for success. And it's all really about just sticking to that at this point in time.
And we'll see how that plays out throughout the season, but there's going to be a lot of great opportunities to see it. As we get our first super chat of the stream, Jesse's from Jakob Javor. Hey guys, hey Jakob, how you doing? Guys, leave a like on Jakob's message there. 0 likes on that. Come on, it's a $2 donation. We really, really appreciate that, Jakob. It's great to see you. You've been so generous over the last few streams. And while you're here, guys, we got over 200 people. Leave a like on the stream. You guys know it helps us out. You see the number go up. I know I ask for it all the time, but when I ask, you guys do it, and it really means the world to us. The simple thing of clicking the like button. Want to thank the other channel members that are in here. We got Ian sending the Slafzilla emoji. George is in here. Hi, everyone. Nice to see those beautiful smiling faces. Josh and Jesse. George, great to have you in here as always. We're always happy. We're always smiling. There's always something great to talk about here with the Habs. We got Derek, big fan of Kaiden. I think he'll show us more of his role. And Ifman says hit the like button. Oh, hey, look, we got the fans supporting us, Jesse. That's some good stuff. But we're gonna quickly move on from our start of this thing talking about Slafkovsky. We had to get right into Ivan Demidov because he has been doing some great stuff as of late. He's been playing on the third line for a few straight games, and he's been scoring for a few straight games. I mean, he was named, first of all, KHL Rookie of the Week this week with 2 points in 2 games, yet only getting 11 minutes of average ice time over the past week. But his ice time's starting to improve day by day as Kuznetsov seemingly likes playing with Demidov on the same line, and he's able to pull off stuff like this. Again, just creating chances. He's out there with Kuznetsov, with Tony DeAngelo, who has been probably SKA's best player, at least definitely offensively. But not only is he able to thread the needle and make perfect passes, I mean, I guess a lot of people could make that pass, but he still had the vision. He's, again, like I said, creating chances out of nowhere. These filthy hands. What you got to pay attention to here is how fast he goes forehand to backhand, and he had the goalie absolutely beat. Looking down, whoop, and then, oh my gosh. I mean, I just wish that went in, but still, Jesse, I don't know. I don't know if this new things, here in Montreal, or Elliot Friedman publicly say, hey, Montreal's planning a visit. Maybe Demidov's going to play some more now. I don't know what's going to go on there. But regardless, I'm just happy to see him starting to play. And not only play, but also continue to get these results, getting a point in basically every single game he's participating in.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just amazing to see him kind of make kind of lemonade out of lemons, definitely with, the amount of time that he's getting. What I love about his assists that he has today is like he's going into the slot to really make himself like a shot threat there and really to make like a very quick and sneaky pass. Like this pass, it's a quick one, right? To DeAngelo as well. So you got to it's like you got to respect him because he can shoot it. So that's what makes him such like the kind of that dual threat for that playmaking opportunity as well. So just amazing to see him kind of continuing. And yeah, absolutely. Like with the news that the management's coming over, you have to feel like it doesn't hurt. And it's just music to Demidov's ears because like we know how tough it's been for him when you're that talented. You're one of the best young hockey players in the entire world. And then the ability to be able to play is being taken in front of you. That can be extremely frustrating. So nice for him to know that just Montreal's got his back. They're coming very soon, so he's just got to continue just doing all the amazing things he's been doing, riding shotgun, to Kuznetsov so far.
And like what I like the most, I think, out of these highlights is because every day, like, here's the thing. I know we want him to be able to be an incredible goal scorer, and that's something that he does have in his arsenal. And he's been able to do it very solidly in the KHL. Don't forget, he had a 2-goal, 2-assist game. He has, I think 4 or 5 goals now this season. But the thing with me, Jesse, is again, his ability to, we saw that in these clips, his ability to read the game at the pro level. Like, he is very often, like, he's not perfect. He's going to make mistakes, and we've seen that this season. He has made some mistakes. He's taken some bad penalties, had some bad turnovers, trying to do a little too much. But as he's getting more and more used to the KHL, we are seeing him make fewer and fewer mistakes. Whether you can say that is thanks to Rottenberg or, despite Rottenberg, I don't know. That's up to you guys to decide. But when it comes to him, especially in these clips, I'm going to keep playing these because this is all the highlights we got. But like the quick decision, like you said, to make himself a shot threat, but then to quickly decide, look, he looks up and that split second, he makes that decision to pass it over to Tony D. And that's one thing that scouts, I think, have said a lot about Demidov is his ability to know where to be, know what to do before the play even really develops is not only like elite for the KHL, it's incredibly special for a guy who's still a teenager doing this in that men's league, and the ability to read the speed of the game, to play alongside a guy who's an NHL veteran who just barely didn't really crack an NHL roster this year, who has been a staple in like a Stanley Cup winning team. For him to be able to play off of that, to know where to be, to know what to do, has been, I would say, to me, the most impressive aspect of his game so far.
the hockey IQ, and it's one of the most translatable, Josh. It's a really solid point. It kind of makes you think of Hudson, right? Who already says plan A, B, C, D, and even more kind of plan, like even before he kind of gets the puck. And that type of processing, right, to really be able to register the game at that type of speed is what really separates, the best players in this league. Obviously, like Suzuki has tremendous IQ, Hudson has tremendous IQ, but even if we want to talk about another player like McDavid, just the way he's able to play the game so quickly, like on that pass that Demidov is making there, like he is making very quick decisions. He's going at full speed. He's not taking a walk trying to dish off a soft little pass here. He's skating with intention, dishing it off, right? And he, again, showing the wheels to get on the breakaway. That's kind of a part of Demidov's game that's kind of gets slept on as well, is that he's got some wheels. He's got some speed when it matters. And I think that's so huge for Montreal when you're kind of looking for that game-breaking ability. You need somebody that can kind of separate themselves from the pack every once in a while and just kind of get mano-a-mano with the goalie there. So, obviously amazing to see this from Demidov. Like, he's just got a full bag of tricks, and he knows which one to use at the right time.
Here's what I'm trying to visualize already for next season, Jesse, is having Demidov and Lane Hutson on the ice at the same time is going to be an absolute nightmare, because we hear teams already talking about how they game plan for Lane Hutson because of his creativity, because of his shiftiness, because of the plays that he can drive. We're seeing a lot of the same stuff with Demidov, although he's not as quick and shifty. It's not the same types of moves as Lane Hutson. No. He is still very deceptive, and his ability to read the game, to read the plays before it happens, is going to require people to game plan for him. And I know Montreal's biggest problem right now is lack of primary goal scoring. We have Caufield, who accounts for 38% of the team's goals this year, or something crazy like that, right? And ideally, Patrik Laine is healthy for the second half of this season and for all of next year, so you can get that. But you also have a full off season to work with. Yeah, you could maybe try and draft a guy that has high goal scoring upside, but realistically, I think we're starting to get to the point where Montreal might start to hunt them out, either in free agency or in terms of a trade. We're not really sure yet. But the idea of having two guys who can create opportunities, as well as those two who are probably both going to be on the power play at the same time, is maybe that, I know we need that offensive boost and we need a goal scorer to go alongside those guys, but just again, the fact that Montreal will ideally be able to create so many more opportunities 5v5 is very exciting to me.
And if we're looking for that goal scorer, insert Patrik Laine. That's one of these players that I've just been so excited to see, that combination of these three players, Lane Hutson, Ivan Demidov, Patrik Laine, these are all elite offensive players. They're at another level of how they just kind of read the game, how they process it. And to be honest, players like that often need to play together to really bring out the best in them, right? Because obviously if they're seeing the game at a certain level, they need people that are kind of seeing the same picture to really make that come to life. So it's absolutely phenomenal, the opportunity to be able to see them in the future. I think that they're going to work so well together. They're going to be so exciting. They're going to be so dynamic out on the ice together, and really so unpredictable, which is really kind of the big thing, right? That's kind of been our problem on the PP, different things for a while. Is just everybody kind of knew where it was coming. There was no mystery there. But when you're having players that are shifting, that are being so dynamic, not afraid to kind of move, kind of switch spots in the offensive zone, I think it's going to be the real game breaker for this team.
Yeah, I think so. It's going to be so fun to see. I know you guys are all pumped for Demidov, so what I'm going to ask you, like I've done before, leave a D in the chat. Let's fill the chat with Ds for Demidov. All the hype that we're going to see for him, because we're going to get some news coming from Kent Hughes, Jeff Gorton, whenever they do manage to make that trip over to Russia, whether that is in October or maybe November or even December. I want to see Ds in the chat. You guys know how much we like to see D in the chat. So we're going to move on though, Jesse. We're going to move on as people do that. We got a lot of people talking about Caufield. Well, you know what? And we also got some interesting lines here suggested from Derek. We got a lot of interesting stuff to get into. So you know what, Derek, I think we'll start with this defense thing. I didn't plan to really talk about the defense today, but I'm just going to read the message, Jesse, because it is interesting. Because I know that there's a lot of questions on defense as well. Guhle is almost certainly not going to play Tuesday versus New York. He did not practice today. Can't imagine he's going to be ready. But Derek suggests Hudson, Savard, Matheson, Mailloux, Struble, Xhekaj. So basically scratching Barron out of the lineup, even though Barron was the top right-hand defenseman last game. To me, Hudson, Savard is fine. Matheson, Mailloux, fine. Struble, Xhekaj. It's a very interesting trio there. What do you think specifically? I think Hudson, Savard we've seen. Struble, Xhekaj, I think we kind of expected. To me, Matheson, Mailloux is kind of the interesting one there, and I know we've seen Matheson paired with Barron, so it's something Montreal's willing to do. I still think I'd rather have Hudson with Mailloux and maybe Matheson with Savard, because that's something we've seen as well, even though that pairing wasn't that great before. What are your thoughts on the idea of a Matheson-Mailloux pairing, and do you like that more or less than a Hudson-Mailloux pairing?
To be honest, it'd be very interesting kind of going forward. Like for me, I would definitely go probably Hudson Mayu again.
Me too.
And just the fact that they are putting Mayu up with
And they
Hudson
look so good.
on that first pairing, though, it has to tell you that they think very highly of Logan Mayu. Like that is definitely like every young defender on that team knows that that means something when they're putting him in that spot. And that's a big sign for Justin Barron, right? Like it hasn't been all bad for him this year. There's been definitely like some really good signs. I think just the biggest thing with Justin Barron is we're looking for that consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be the biggest thing. If Justin Barron can't kind of show that consistency night in, night out, I am very much worried about his spot with the Montreal Canadiens going forward, as soon as this offseason, because I feel like this season here is just going to be so key for him to kind of establish that. Like for myself, I could see very much a world, Hudson, Mayu kind of back together again. Even though we've seen Savard, I think like we know that Hudson, he really needs that pace, definitely to kind of play with.
Yes.
So I think that's kind of the pairing that I'd expect to see from them.
Dude, yeah, that's the big thing. Like Hudson with a guy who doesn't have that much pace is tough to watch. Like that pairing did not fare very well defensively when they were together. So just an interesting little thought there, Derek. Thank you. I would also tend to agree in general, Jesse. I would rather see Hudson Mayu stick together. Just give them another shot. They looked really good. I don't mind going back to Matheson and Savard. It's not something that we've seen a lot recently, but it's something we've seen a lot since they've both been on Montreal, and they had a lot of games as the top pairing together. They have chemistry. Savard really has chemistry with almost everyone. He does have chemistry with Hudson, even though he doesn't necessarily fit best as his partner in terms of play style, but there's a lot of stuff we can get into there. But I am more interested in the actual lines, Jesse, as today. These were the practice lines for the forwards. This is what we've all been waiting for. I know all of you have been waiting to talk about this. So, Juraj Slafkovsky had a treatment day today, a therapy day, because he's still nursing that shoulder injury. He played through it when they went to New York to play the New York Islanders, and he looked fine. He got 2 assists. I mean, you can't really complain, but he was still nursing it. He could play Tuesday, but Marty St. Louis said, hey, you never know. Anything can happen. I'm not sure if he's going to play. So we don't know if Slav's going to play. And if not, Jesse, you have to imagine that this is the forward group that Marty St. Louis and the Montreal Canadiens will be going for in Tuesday's matchup with the New York Rangers. And when we look at this, we see that top line that got us so excited in Slav's rookie season. Caufield, Suzuki, Dach, this trio that started the season on absolute fire before. We forget these guys were all well above a point per game together for a stretch. Wasn't there a point where Suzuki was at like 1.5 points per game when it was this forward pairing here, or forward trio, I should say? And in Eric Engel's article today talking about this, he mentions how that lineup there with Caufield, Suzuki, Dach, that line had above a 50% shot share, right? Your expected goal share, I believe. It's a line that has driven the play in the past. Caufield even said, like, hey, having those 2 centers is really good in terms of defense, but also in terms of puck control forward. We'll get into Kaiden and Jesse, but I'm more interested just first on what you think of this first line. What do you think about seeing Dach finally with these guys? I don't think it's going to be something permanent, but I guess you never really know. I'm excited to see how this pans out.
The fact that Cole Caufield has been very vocal about how he really likes this first line here gives it a lot of legs that this could potentially happen. And I think that the big thing here is, for sure with Dach is, we know that he's an effective player, but we just need a little bit more wins, from that second line. One of your best lines on the team, you need to put a face-off guy there where you feel like you're going to be getting possession of the puck. We know that that's obviously so key to being able to win the game, but we know like how dominant that line has been together. They've had very strong underlying numbers, analytics together as a number. And you have to feel like with Dach, like there's been a lot of things that we've liked about his game this year, Josh. Like I'm texting you during the game, like he's having scoring chances. I'm telling him like how good does Kirby, Dach look right now?
Mm-hmm.
Only later on, only one period later, where it's like a tale of 2 cities basically in one game, where I'm just like, in my own mind, I'm not texting you this anymore. I don't want to be too hard on Dach, but I'm just like, what is he doing? He's got to kind of, keep control of his stick a little bit more, have that discipline, kind of coughing pucks up a little bit too easily.
1 point, dude.
It's amazing how like there's such a difference in Dach's game. We can just see things like Jekyll and Hyde, like certain things he just love so much, right? And then some other things which, just obviously kind of stand out as not being the best, but you have to feel a little bit of rust for him to come off. He's shown lots of glimpses. I just expect that to start seeing more and more of the positives and those things taking over, because this guy can be a total game breaker in games. Absolutely. So I think like him potentially getting that opportunity, I'm a little bit surprised to see this, Josh, but the fact that Cole Caufield likes it so much for me is saying big things.
Yeah, like I would say I'm surprised, but like if I had known, like yesterday, first of all, I want to say that we were talking very much about similar stuff here. Seeing Dach move back to the wing, seeing him play with a center that has a better faceoff percentage, all these different things. But we didn't expect that top three to change. But if we were to say yesterday, hey, Slafkovsky's not going to play, what are we going to do? I honestly think this would probably be what we would have said, except maybe we'd see Heineman move up the lineup. And I see a lot of people in chat not very happy about Heineman, so we will talk about him in a second. But this top line, you're very right. I think it is something I didn't necessarily expect to see because I didn't expect Slaf to get hurt. But I think, do I still have this animation? I think it's fire. I think I'm ready to see this roll in a game. I want to see the puck control. I want to see Dach generate chances because I think Dach has done such a good job with this trio of generating goal-scoring chances for those other two guys in Caufield and Suzuki. So I don't know. I'm really excited for this. Guys, in chat right now, is this first line a W or an L? Let's assume Slaf is hurt. Do you think this is a good idea that you move Dach to the first line wing and change the lineup like this? Or would you have done something else with this lineup? W for yes, this is what you would have done, or L if you would have done something else. I think some of you might be saying Heineman, who we did see play with Suzuki and Caufield in the preseason, last year? So, there's some history there. But I will move on. I might as well move on to Heineman quickly, Jesse, because not really someone I necessarily plan to talk about, but the fans are all on him as we get 5 gifted memberships from Simon Desjardins. Simon, coming in hot every single stream. Simon, thank you so much. And if I read your name, you have officially been gifted a sub from Simon Desjardins himself. We got Dajoka has been gifted a membership, including Habs fans for life, Gino Stea, Chris XT, and the Hat Man. All of you now can claim your free channel membership from Simon Desjardins. Thank you very much, Simon. A lot of people really liking this line, Jesse. I have a quick note on Heineman. He's looked really good. Marty has clearly been a bit hesitant to break up the Anderson, Evans, Gallagher trio. The only reason I see Heineman still on the line he's on is simply because they still have a bit of a long leash on Armia. Because you can see Heineman, he was here practicing on the right wing today. And we were talking about, hey, maybe that's the thing. It's a wing thing. Maybe it's a positional thing. I don't really know. The fact that Heineman's practicing on the right wing with Pezzetta on the left tells me a lot, and tells me that maybe there are some plans for him to play there in the future. Now, it's probably just more that Pezzetta is more comfortable on the left wing, but at the same time, I'm starting to think, like, if the things continue to go the way they're going, I wouldn't be shocked to see Heineman make that jump above Armia if Armia doesn't quite get his gears rolling soon enough.
Things are trending in that direction. I would very much expect that if things do continue. It's a little bit of the youth movement that's in effect, and it's almost normal for this to kind of happen, have those young guys kind of come in and kind of replace some of those older vets on this team. For myself, I would keep Slaf on that first line with Zooks and Cole. Mm-hmm. Cole is off to an amazing pace. They're getting points without playing their best hockey, which for me is like, when that kind of regresses, is like, for me, they're going to be playing good hockey and getting points in the very near future. For me, though, it's like, I'm cool with either Heineman or Kaiden on that second line. I think it's a great move by Marty. I think that Slaf will be in the lineup, by the way. He's a tough guy. He took a treatment day not long ago before actually playing the game. He's tough. With the injuries to this team, I think he's going to step up, like, just knowing how important his role is. He wants to be there for this team. Very strong. He can handle this year. But, for me on that second line, either having that Heineman or Kapanen, obviously it kind of changed things. You see why Marty's going for the 2C role here with Kapanen. It's not a knock against Heineman. It's more just, we want to be winning more of those draws. For your second line, one of your best lines on the team, you want to get control of the puck more, obviously, and you need to do that to win the game. It's simple mathematics, so important. So I think that this is an important adjustment, kind of moving Armia down, having Heineman, or in this case, as you see a Kapanen coming up. Like, for me, I'd have Kapanen on that line, as it is right now with Newhook and with Dach there. I think just maybe giving Dach a little bit, a little bit less worries kind of defensively, I think could work really well while still keeping that first line intact. The big thing is that we need to win those face-off draws. Thing about Kapanen too is he's low-key very intelligent defensively. So if we're looking to kind of stop, absolutely, to stop a lot of those high danger chances, he's the smart player where he knows how to position himself in the defensive zone. Great stick, again, to be able to kind of break up plays. So I think this is kind of getting a couple birds with one stone here.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. So you're suggesting Armia go down to that fourth line, I imagine, if Heineman's moving up. Yeah. And honestly, I like that fit because Dvorak has looked good as a forechecker, and I think Armia can still fill that role. We've seen him be good as a forechecker, hey?
Oh, absolutely. He's doing a lot better this year at it. We'd like to see him skating for sure.
Yeah, he's doing really well defensively. So yeah, that's a really interesting thing. And before I get into the other lines here, Jesse, we got some more admin to deal with here in the chat. We got Simon Desjardins once again being so so generous. Thank you so much, Simon. Such a loyal supporter. And as Francis Daig says, tu es le général ici. Simon Desjardins says, I'd love to see Heineman or Kapanen with Dach. Armia is not doing it. There you go. Right? The same thoughts. Great minds think alike. And that's exactly it, right? Armia is not doing it right now. I get giving him a bit of a leash, but I don't think, I know it's a demotion to move from the second line to the fourth line, but I think Armia's playstyle can work with pretty much any line mates. I'd like to see him get going a bit more. I still think his puck control game is good. I still think Armia can control the puck. He still has a ton of skill. He's just not putting it together with these line mates. Switching things up is not a bad idea. I want to say hi again to the channel members coming in. Francis Daig saying, what's up, boys? What's up, Francis? I like Dach on the first line, but we'll put Heineman on the second, says Mystic Prodigy. I'm not against that either. I think Heineman up there instead of Armia could be a real thing. We'll see. Keep saying to bring Demigod here. Well, absolutely. I wish we could, as Mr. Prodigy says, but we can't quite yet. Mystic Tank, hit that like button, guys. Only 70 likes and 337 watching. Well, if you want to hit the like, go ahead. If you don't want to, not going to force you. It's completely up to you. It'd help us out, but you don't have to. That's fine. But Jesse, I want to move on to the big thing here. We've talked a bit about Kapanen. We've been teasing it a little bit this whole stream, but this is our guy. So this is something that we have been talking about because if you look at the face-off percentages for Montreal, it's Nick Suzuki, who is solidly above 50%. He's not crazy. He's not in the 55% or anything, but he's above 50% decently solidly, okay? He's our best face-off guy this season. Last season, it was Dvorak in the games he did play. He was 55 or 56%. It's 43% this year. It is horrible, especially on defensive zone draws. He has lost, I think, three or four defensive zone draws that have led directly to a goal, which has been pretty rough. So, after Suzuki, Jake Evans is basically exactly 50-50. I think it was 41 wins, 40 losses. And then after that, it's our boy Oliver Kapanen, who had 10 wins, 11 losses on the dot. Of course, he's been playing mostly wing, but he's been the guy to step in when Dvorak has been thrown out, or even in certain situations, it's been Kapanen taking those draws. He's our third best faceoff guy, and we don't have a big enough sample size to say whether he's better than Evans or not, because they're basically the same right now. So all things considered, Jesse, I really like this. You talked about how, especially with next to a guy like Newhook, right? This just makes more sense because Newhook and Dach are our two worst face-off guys, and it's not even close. I think Newhook's 33%, Dach's 38%. It's just not competitive level face-off taking. To have Kapanen with Newhook, right? To have Newhook being able to fill in and take draws and still not be terrible at them, and have Kapanen be the main guy, plus Dach in that top line with Suzuki, it just makes the most sense, but it also shows that Marty is not afraid to give these young guys the reward, and if we're seeing it with Kapanen, we are going to see it with Heineman. I think the only reason we haven't seen it with Heineman yet is that in a situation like this, again, if Slafkovsky doesn't play, which he very well might, but if he doesn't, this is clearly the plan. It just makes more sense to fill in that center role to move Dach to the top line, right? That just is what it is. So I just think it's easier to move a guy like Kapanen up the lineup other than Heineman, who doesn't play center. I'm going to keep saying it again. I love the idea that Marty is letting these guys prove their worth. And I think we just got to be patient with the other guys. But to me, this makes perfect sense. And it's something that, we were talking about. Kapanen could be a second line guy. I didn't think it'd come this soon, but I got to say I've been impressed with his game, and I'm very impressed that Marty has decided to go with this lineup if Slafkovsky does miss a game.
And we were talking about it, for the opening night rosters, once we saw the cuts that Jonathan Waugh, J-Boy was cut, it was okay, well, now we have to have Kapanen on that second line, right? And so this is what we would have done to kind of start the season, but we know in hockey, you definitely need to earn your keep all the way. But Josh, it's just phenomenal that not only are we talking about this for Kapanen, huge, promotion for him. This is really big, huge opportunity. But even that we're talking about this for Heineman, is absolutely unreal that we have two young players that are playing so well, that we're talking about in this way and actually meaning it and playing very important hockey for this team. Heineman, the type of hockey he plays, he's exemplifying right now what the entire team needs to be doing. That's getting on top of other players, creating very little space. Whenever they're being effective in any of the games, it's the forecheck. And it was so funny, Caufield, he said it exactly, echoing our sentiments from the show. It's when the Montreal Canadiens are at the best, it's when they're on the forecheck. They're getting pucks in deep. They're getting on top of guys. They're leaving very little space. And Heineman, if he continues to play this way, not only will he get rewarded, but he should, because he's playing the type of hockey that will not only lead for his success, but also for the teams as well. So to have a young guy kind of come in and kind of, take on that role and be playing that brand of hockey in this way, for me, is just super encouraging.
Yeah, and again, Heineman is second on the team in hits right now, which is behind only Slafkovsky, which is nuts. Like Slav is averaging 4 or 5 hits a game or something crazy like that. I'm not sure if it was if he's still up at that after their last game, but still he was heading into that game. But it's been unbelievable, and I love again how much faith he's being able to put in these young guys. Like, screw it, we want to win. You guys are giving us the best chance. I'm quickly going to go back to the chat because Simon Desjardins once again renewing their channel membership, being a hat trick member for the last 2 months. Thank you, Simon. Just simply saying, leave a like and subscribe. It's free and it goes a long way. Simon, you're coming after our job here, with these kind of things. I will ask you, if you're watching right now and you're enjoying what you're seeing, yeah, like Simon says, this is a fan. They're paying for this. I'm not paying for this, right? This is genuine love from the fans, and we genuinely appreciate it. So if you enjoy this, just leave a like on the stream and hit the subscribe button completely free. We got stuff like this every single day, weekly live streams, all the great stuff. And I am gonna take a look through the chat again. New Hook is missing Hook. Well, yeah, I guess. Yeah, Devo forgot how to take faceoffs. Give Kaiden a chance. Yeah, Slav did hurt his shoulder. He just tweaked it. He'll probably be fine. I had a video. He's probably fine, like you said, Jess. He's probably going to play. I see Malcolm Savard says, the last 2 months I'm watching Habs Digest in my ASMR. I fall in my best sleep listening to Hockey Talk. So I don't know how to feel about that. I appreciate it on the one hand, probably auto playing the videos and stuff, but on the other hand, I feel like we got so much energy sometimes. I don't know. I wouldn't be able to fall asleep listening to myself. I feel like my blood pressure would go up. I don't know, but that's a pretty nice compliment, hey?
We bring the energy, but also we got the late night DJ vibes as well, right? We can bring that voice so good. For Sleeping Josh, we need to break down this game here tonight.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Break it down.
Maybe do like bring in the nighttime voice sometime. I don't know. Well, thank you for watching very much, Marc-Antoine. Derek saying, well, my Habs fan daughter who played under 18 just got sidelined due to a fractured clavicle. The Habs injury curse runs into the fan base. My goodness, Derek. Well, I wish your daughter the best. That is fractured clavicle. I've never done that, Jesse. I know people who have done it, and that's tough to recover from, but the best wishes to your daughter, because that is pretty brutal.
Yeah, definitely a really painful injury. Sorry to hear about that. Definitely a rough game. Nice to see that, not just yourself, but the whole family kind of has a love for the game as well, though. So we definitely wish, very quick recovery there for sure.
That passion will hopefully kindle the spirits and hopefully, help that recovery go along. Because I know that's when I was recovering. When I was at my best recovering from injuries, it was just that drive, that love for the sports I was playing to get back out there and show what I had. So really best wishes there. So I actually thought that we would probably talk about that stuff a little bit more. But I actually, you know what? I did have an idea, Jesse. And I did want to talk about one guy that we're not necessarily talking about here. And by the way, thank you guys for helping us get to 100 likes on the stream. That really, really appreciate that. That's awesome. 100 likes on the stream. Michael Pezzetta. I don't know what to think of Michael Pezzetta. I'm starting to think that this is his last year as a Montreal Canadien. I believe this is the last year of his contract. Unless he gets like a 2-way deal. I feel like there are some teams in the league that could use him, and I know Montreal, especially now that we're seeing Xhekaj kind of not playing in every game because he hasn't looked at his best, and he himself has said he's not in love with how he's been playing so far this season. Montreal does need a bit of that physicality. Now, what Pezzetta brings is definitely some grit. It's not quite at that same level as Arber Xhekaj, I would say. But right now, he's just not finding a spot on the roster for himself. We have other veterans like Alex Barré-Boulet being sent down, though Barré-Boulet was not on that full one-way contract like Pezzetta is, I don't believe. I think Barré-Boulet might have been a 2-way, or maybe it was a 1-way. I don't remember. But still, Pezzetta's just struggling to find his spot in the lineup. And here he draws in if Slav is actually injured. But do you see him playing many games this season, Jesse? I mean, barring a move, I'm just not sure when I would really want him in the lineup, except for maybe, I know there's a back-to-back coming up this weekend, Saturday, Sunday. Maybe we'll see him draw in one of those 2 games. But on the one hand, I'm a little sad to not be seeing him play, to see his energy, because he's also one of the team's best forecheckers when he's on, and he fits well in that fourth line. But I don't know, the skill of the other guys have just been pushing him out.
And there will be injuries. We're hoping to have a little bit less so far this season. There will be some, so he will get his time from here and there. But you're absolutely right, Josh. His time, even just going forward, will be much more sporadic just because we've got so many of these young guys coming up. There's a lot of guys from the AHL that are chomping at the bit as well. It's not even just this current lineup. It's not just Heidemann, Kapanen as well, as we got a lot of guys with the Laval Rocket playing very well. But that being said, Josh, I have such a soft spot for fourth line players that just play with a lot of heart, that finish their checks every time. there is a huge value of what Michael Pezzetta brings to this team. He definitely creates momentum when you're out on the ice, you're finishing checks. Sometimes you're having a little bit of a slow start to the game where things aren't going your way. Best way to get the momentum back is start laying the body, playing with some energy, skating, laying some hits. That's exactly what he does. So he has a very important role in this team. He does have a shot kind of like when he has an opportunity to kind of let it rip, but like you got to love what he brings to this team. But it's just that youth movement, right? That like somebody like Heineman who can bring, laying the body kind of like a Pezzetta, but then who just has that even next level shot to kind of go with it, right? So that's a little bit of the difference right now as we're seeing this team is getting even more and more depth that unfortunately, players are going to have even more than just kind of one calling card to really get their spot on this team.
That's it. Like, Montreal is becoming more and more skilled. Like, the young players are proving their worth. And it's like, at this point now, like, in the past few years, it's been enough to just be a healthy body to play in the lineup, like, every now and then. I mean, we would see lots of people playing in these lineups. I'm talking Alex Belzile. Anthony Xhekaj, who has actually started the year, I think, pretty well. I don't know if he's played many NHL games, but he looked really good in the preseason. Alex Belzile, Anthony Xhekaj, Laurent Dauphin, Lucas Condata, who is the captain now, right? I believe, of Laval. So there's a bunch of the guys that we've seen play, but now Michael Pezzetta can't even draw into the lineup. It's kind of crazy. I want to go back to the chat here really quick. We got Mystic saying they were giving him a rest day, talking about Slav. Yes, of course. Mark Orr. Hey, Mark. Hello, Mark Orr, one of our Rocket Bouchard tier members. We're chatting with them in the group chat every day. Good to see you in here, Mark. Thank you for stopping by. We are coming to a close very soon on the stream, but it's always good to see our loyal members in here. And Gino Stea saying, I'd rather have Pezzetta playing over Dvorak. If Pezzetta could take draws, didn't he play center one game? Am I dreaming that? Or no, that was RHP. That's another guy. Raphael Harvey-Pinard. And I feel like we forget about him. Like, I don't know when he's going to be back, but it's probably less than a month from now if that timeline is correct, right, Jesse? So the Habs are probably saving a roster spot for him. What's even the deal going to be? Like, at this point, I think Heineman and Kapanen have proven themselves like, hey, like, we deserve our spots. Are we really going to get to a point where Harvey-Pinard is not even drawn into the lineup? A guy who started his NHL career so hot? Like, you got to give him a shot to see what he has, right? You can't just stick him on the bench, but at the same time, you can't just take away these minutes from a guy like Heineman or Kapanen. So now I'm starting to wonder, like, again, barring an injury, knock on wood, like, where does he fit in this grand scheme of things?
Which is tough because I like RHP. Like, he's a good player. Like, he's got some skill. He plays with a little bit of an edge. He's not the biggest guy in the world, but like, you like what he brings to the table. Again, somebody kind of playing with heart that he shows he can finish. It's just kind of getting back to that consistency where he had that 14-goal season, but just even though he had a couple opportunities, obviously the injury is not helping. Like, just can't quite get back there, which must be so frustrating for him. And also, like, Habs management, a lot of players that are rooting for him that want to see him succeed because this is a feel-good story, right? Like, he plays well, not somebody you'd really expect, but he's shown, like, you put him in the right opportunities, and he absolutely has some skill. He was looking like a very valued member of this team, right? We just showed the NHL, it's so fickle. It doesn't take much where, you miss a little bit of time, maybe you go on a little bit of a cold streak, and now you're on the periphery of this NHL club kind of once again here. So really tough, but obviously, we have to take this with a grain of salt. We are looking to get better. We are looking to be more competitive. So it's just like, having solid competition at each and every position is really what you're striving for right now as the Habs.
That's the thing, right? Competition, like we've said, I don't know how many times I've said this on this channel or other channels, but it is the competition that, it breeds the competitiveness, but it breeds the development. Because if you have no choice but to prove that you're better than someone else to make your way in the lineup, and you have that drive to do it, then you're going to do it, right? Like, this is you're going to do everything you can to maximize your own potential. And if you don't care enough to get there, well, then you're probably not going to get there. So, like, it's just how you get the most out of your players in a lot of ways. And obviously it does suck to have guys blocked in, like sometimes teams do have. And, I get those arguments here and there, but at the same time, like, you got a guy like Heineman and Kapanen, you're a guy like RHP who's on the shelf, as Mystic says. I think he's going to be back mid to early November. That's what I roughly remember, like sometime in November. So I'm just going to assume less than a month from now is kind of my guess. Don't know. But if he does come back around that time, it's like, sorry, buddy, like, you lost your spot. Like, it is what it is. We had a big sample size of you, and I know you got hurt a little bit, but these guys have just looked better. Emil Heineman has come in and he has looked phenomenal. He's one of the top guys on the team in hits. He has 2 goals. He has a great shootout goal. He's doing great. So anyway, there's some big stuff there. But I think we're going to pretty much clue up here very soon, Jesse. I did want to read through the chat just one last time before if you guys got any thoughts, anything you want to say, leave it in the chat, or if you really want us to read it, leave a super chat, and we will get to that in priority and talk about that. But I just wanted to go through here and see, what do we got? Sly Rider saying, I don't think RHP is having a place in Montreal. Sly Rider, long-time channel member. Thank you for sticking around for this long, by the way, as well. You got that silver Habs Digest channel member badge. Really appreciate that. I think he'll still get his shot. Like he was on like a $1.1 million deal. He'll still be able to play games, but he's getting outplayed. Mark Orr saying, considering we have expected to have a solid second line with Dach, Laine, and Newhook or Roy that would have taken pressure off our top line. I love Armia as a two-way forward, but he's not a top six guy. I think we're at that same thing, Jesse. Like, he's a solid two-way forward. He can play the penalty kill. He can play your second power play. But I don't mind him playing alongside Dvorak doing that. Like, again, I think the Habs' third and fourth lines are very interchangeable at this point. And while, yeah, it would be a demotion, he hasn't really earned his second line spot right now. I'd definitely rather see another guy do it. And I really like Armia when he's on, but when he's not, keep him on as a special teams guy. You don't need to play him a ton 5v5, and I think the bottom six is fine.
And it's okay having an identity and players kind of carved into kind of specific roles of what we know what to expect now. For sure, injuries kind of threw that into the blender a little bit, but like we see Anderson even kind of knowing, okay, what he kind of needs to do to be successful. That's okay. Maybe he's still getting paid kind of quite a bit, but can't fault him for that. He's trying to just get his game back on the right thing. Like him having an identity, like, okay, I know what I need to do. I just need to kind of get out on the forecheck, really get on my horse. Armia, it's kind of a similar thing, right? Like play that puck possession game, play along the boards, play that PK, not necessarily definitely in the top six, I don't think that's where he's best suited or definitely for the team, but he's holding it down in the meantime. He had to, like Marty St. Louis, even though this isn't what we would have done, he's like, he had to get the young guys to earn it. And I think that's very normal. He was kind of a placeholder there, but kind of the normal progression of things of what we do want to see of those young guys taking those spots.
Yep. I just love to see it. Like, you know what? You don't earn your spot. Too bad. And I love that Marty's willing to do this. I feel like I've said that 10 times already this stream, but great comment, Mark. Thank you. Super Gujan saying Pez is a character player. Montreal has a number of those. But character gets you so far. It's good to have you in the locker room, and I really like Michael Pezzetta. Nothing against Michael Pezzetta, but the other guys have outplayed him. It is what it is. Francis saying, thanks again, bros. Enjoy the night. Thank you very much, Francis. Simon Deschaldin. Oh my gosh, Simon, you're so generous. Another $2.79. Just simply saying, good show, guys. Can't wait for Line A to be back. As Mark says, next year, Line A, Dach, Demidov, two top line. That's the thing. It can go from what we have now. From what is the second line, if Slav doesn't play, second line of Newhook, Kappen, and Armia, could be next year, Demidov, Dach, Laine. You never really know. Could be amazing. As George says, another great live show, guys. I love having Dach in the first line. It's going to be fun watching Galley and Anderson together. Have a great night, everyone. Jesse, I think that's pretty much our sentiment, too. Any final thoughts before we clue up this wonderful Monday live stream?
Well, I'm excited for the game tomorrow. Nick Suzuki said he's going to step it up. He said that, he's been okay to start it off, but he feels like he's got more in the tank. And he's really looking forward to having a big outing tomorrow and really kind of putting his stamp on this game. So for me, that's huge for, kind of a couple losses in a row here. You need this from your young captain saying, you know what, we're coming out ready to play. So, nice to see him kind of being the leader in this situation here. So looking forward to a very, very big game coming up tomorrow night.
Expect Nick Suzuki to pick things up big time over the next coming weeks. See, I'm fully expecting a turnaround for him again. It's not like he's playing that bad, but he's not happy with himself. He knows he can be better. Habs fans know he can be better. I'm seeing a lot of people saying he looks a bit sluggish, maybe a step slow. Can't lie. It seems like that at some points, but at the same time, he's still producing. Power play's looking good. We're ready to get going. But guys, I think that'll do it for this live episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We really appreciate all of you guys in here, all 300 of you still here. Yeah, please hit subscribe. We got some big goals coming for the future. And if you want to be part of it, hit the button down below. It's free and you won't regret it. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.